Welcome to Time for Tots. Our story today is Merry Christmas, Curious George. And the author is Maragret and H.A. Ray. And there's Curious George. So this is George. He lived with his friend, the man with the yellow hat. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George was visiting a Christmas tree farm. And look at all the Christmas trees here. "You can help me pick out the perfect tree for our home," his friend told him. "Keep close to me while we look." George promised to be good, but little monkeys sometimes forget. The Christmas tree farm had more trees than George had ever seen. He found a very nice one right away. But then another one caught his eye, and then one more, and then another. George was curious. How many Christmas trees could there be? And there's the man with the yellow hat. And there he is. And there's George, but I don't see the man with the yellow hat. George could not resist climbing up the tallest tree to get a better view. He looked for the man with the yellow hat, but his friend was nowhere in sight. Two men tromped into the clearing. "There's our tree," one man told the other. The men cut down the tree and loaded it onto a truck. And do you see who's still in the tree? Yes, it's Curious George. George held on tightly. He saw the man with the yellow hat as the truck drove away, but the truck was going too fast. George could not jump off. He was scared, but still a little curious. And there's the man with the yellow hat, but he can't quite catch George. Soon the truck stopped in front of a hospital. George peeked out of the branches as the men carried his tree inside. There's George. The hospital was a busy place. George jumped out of the tree. There was lots to see and do. He looked at some interesting pictures. Do you see what those pictures are? Yes, they're the X-ray pictures. He found a jacket and tried it on. He played on a trampoline, but that's not a trampoline as it is a bed. He even went for a ride on a speedy little cart. Oh, the cart says books. Then George spotted something very interesting, his tree. George knew that Christmas trees were supposed to have tinsel and twinkling lights and shiny ornaments, but this tree was empty. George thought and thought, and then he had an idea. See what George is putting on the tree? He's decorating it, but can you see what he's decorating it with? There's somebody's crutch. There's a get well balloon. There's some of those X-ray pictures. Next, George noticed a pile of gifts in the corner of the room. The gifts looked pretty, but George was curious. Could he make them look even prettier? This red bow would look much better on the green box, and the name tags might look nicer on different packages too. A nurse arrived, and what did she see? A monkey, and he's making a big mess. Oh dear. A group of children crowded around the nurse. They were all patients at the hospital. Even though it was almost Christmas, the children were not smiling or looking happy. "Come along," the nurse said, picking George up. "I'd better get you out of here before you can ruin anything else." A girl with a cast stared at George's tree. Suddenly she giggled. "Look," she said, "it's my X-ray." A boy laughed. "And there's the balloon from my room." All the children started chattering and laughing as they looked at George's funny decorations. "Can't he stay for the party?" a boy asked the nurse. "We don't mind about the gifts. It will be fun to sort them out." "Please let him stay, please," the other children chimed in. When she saw how happy the children looked, the nurse looked happier too. "I suppose he can stay," she said, "if he promises to help fix the tree." George was happy to help. And there's George, and now he has Christmas lights. The children helped too. Some of them returned George's decorations, while others handed George the real ornaments. He scampered up and down, stringing lights and hanging tinsel. Being a monkey, he was good at that sort of thing. He was also good at making the children laugh, and there he is being silly and juggling ornaments with his feet to make the children laugh. When the tree was finished, George helped open the gifts. He was having such a good time that he completely forgot he was lost until the man with the yellow hat hurried into the room. "There you are, George," he cried. "I followed that truck all the way here." George was very happy to be reunited with his friend. The nurse invited them both to stay for milk and cookies. So, because George was dealing with a Christmas tree, I thought we might like to make a tree. So this is what my tree looks like. So I just started with some construction paper. I took one full sheet, then I folded it in half, and I folded it in half again. So I've got a fold here, and then I just drew a Christmas tree here, and I cut it out. So when you get it cut out, it's going to look like this. So then I opened it up, and on the fold line, I stapled it together so that I've got 4 layers like this. And that helps it to stand. And then I took a sheet of red construction paper, and I drew a small circle and a bigger circle, and then I just cut them out sort of like a snake. So cut the outside one and then just kind of leave it about a 1/2 inch and just kind of swirl it around. And then I took some stickers, some stars I had, and I put them on. And then you'll just be able to drape this over the tree for like your garland. And then I had some Christmas wrapping paper, and I cut it into little squares and some little skinny ribbon, and I just glued that on for bows so that I've got some gifts under my tree too. So have fun making a Christmas tree.